It is overtime here again at Old Favorite Friday, and I am talking about PranQster from North Coast. This is a brewery that I absolutely love. This is a beer that is absolutely fantastic, and another beer that I just do not think gets the love and attention that I think it deserves. This brewery in general has been around since 1988. This beer's been around for about, I think it was 1995 from my research, and this is a brewery that I love everything they do. We featured them before with Old Rasputin on Old Favorite Friday. I'd love to feature them. Old Stock is one of my favorite beers, and I can't get it down here. I know it's a seasonal, so maybe I'm just getting the wrong season or what have you. But it's just a brewery that everything they make is so good and so well made. They're such a pioneer of craft beer in the United States. And going back in time, I remember having the first time I had PranQster or Scrimshaw or Red Seal or Old Stock or Old Rasputin and loving all those beers. But for whatever reason, maybe it's my brain doesn't work properly, I never connected those breweries, at least in the beginning, to the same brewery. I loved all those beers independently. And one day I kind of just noticed, finally, focusing, finally it all clicked that, oh, these are all made by the same brewery. This brewery makes everything incredibly well. This brewery is, one of the, they're in that pantheon for me of, Sierra Nevada, New Belgium, breweries like that, that just seized on craft beer early on, dedicated themselves to making these beers properly with good ingredients, making them traditionally so that they had traditional flavor profiles that they also were able to put their own spin on a regular basis. And that gets me perfectly into something like PranQster. PranQster is a Belgian golden ale. It is 7.6% alcohol. And so many Belgian beers that I tried from the US are just overly sweet. They have one-dimensional yeast characteristics and flavors. They're all bubblegum, they're all banana, they're all clove, what have you. And this is a beer that does none of that. This beer is, if you put this in front of somebody and you ask them to critique this with the classic Belgians, they're gonna be very, very happy about this beer because it's dry, because the yeast profile is complex. It gives you the fruity esters. It gives you tons and tons of really spicy phenols that at no point seem one-dimensional. Every time you go back into this glass, you try something a little bit different. It's such a good beer for pairing with food, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I mean, the color is just beautiful. The flavor profile is just on point. I love American breweries that do Belgian beers well. I love Belgian beers. I own a Belgian brewery, at least a Belgian-inspired brewery. That is still our focus. And it just warms my heart when some people give attention and care to a beer like this, because for so many breweries, a Belgian beer is just something they do. It's just part of their portfolio. They don't really understand how to use the yeast properly, or maybe they're using one yeast strain for like 7 different Belgian beers and it doesn't really fit the profile for all of them, and they're under attenuated. Whereas, breweries like this that started the game early, knew they had to make an incredible product and really, really cared about it, took the time to study these beers, the classic styles, and take the right inspiration from them. So listen, North Coast, incredible brewery. If you are walking through the shelves and you see anything that these guys do, it is going to be a representative of that style to a T. And it might not be your favorite version of that style, but it's really, really good. And this, once again, we featured them before on Old Favorite Friday. We're going to feature them again. It's just a matter of getting my hands on all their beers because not all of them are available here in South Florida all the time. Some are seasonals. But you really have to do yourself a favor. If you're the kind of person like me that has to rediscover some of these classic beers because you're just overwhelmed by the amount of choices that are out there, and you haven't picked up a North Coast beer in a while, or you haven't had an Old Rasputin in a while, or a PranQster or a Scrimshaw, go get it and just be amazed at how great, well-made, simple styles can be, and rediscover the joys of simplicity that actually lead to immense complexity. This is absolutely fabulous. So we're talking about food pairings with this. I would love to see something with this beer like a massaman curry. That's a dish that I really, really love, and it would really accentuate the phenols here. The fruity aspects would be really nice to add into like the spiciness, the actual heat, like pepper spice that goes in that dish. The mouthfeel on this is really creamy. It's medium to kind of tipping into fuller bodied. So you'd have a really, really nice pairing with like the coconut milk and the base sauce that goes with the massaman curry, so it would match up power to power. And I just think that it would just give so much more expression to the phenols that are inside this beer. And then another kind of a simple dish you can do with something like this would just be like like a heavily herbed chicken. If you just had a bunch of rosemary and thyme and salt and pepper, and you had it over the grill, a wood fire grill, those kind of spices, those herbs go so well with a beer like this. We've actually, with our triple, we've done herb treatments of those beers like rosemary and thyme and things of that nature that just sparkle. They're beautiful with this flavor profile. So kind of a simple dish that you can do with this that would really show you what food and beer pairings can do would be something like that. Guys, we appreciate you checking in with us. Please continue to tell us what we should be drinking for Old Favorite Fridays. We always appreciate your suggestions. Please like and subscribe to these videos so you can get them every single week. We really appreciate the interaction, and we love seeing that you guys care about these beers as much as we do. The old school beer fans have to kind of rally together to talk about the beers that just don't get the love that they absolutely deserve. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.